Good day. Today we are on change and continuity, our broader topic being historical changes in Jamaica, 18th to 21st century, and our subtopic change and continuity in transportation. We are now proceeding into part one of a two-part lesson series, and at the end of this lesson, students should be able to define the terms change, continuity, and transportation, identify areas of change and continuity in transportation in the Jamaican society from the 18th century to the present. Students should be able to recognize that change and continuity is a part of everyday life, and they should be able to show appreciation for changes in the society. Now, let us look at change and continuity and its importance. Change and continuity is a natural part of the process of life. Without change, there would be no advancement in society, there would be no growth. Let us take a look at the picture over to my far left. We are seeing prehistoric band gathering together. This is basically where they would live for shelter. We're looking at a nomadic band. We're looking at a prehistoric society. The picture in the center would feature a more advanced civilized society, more so in the Neolithic period, where there are settlements, there's division of labor, there are cities, and other inventions to make working easier. And of course, man would have learned to farm at that time. So that would be considered a civilized society. The picture to my far right indicates a modern society within which we live at this moment. And of course, we are seeing significant changes over the period. From men living in caves, operating in nomadic bands, to man settling in villages under leadership, understanding their environment gradually, to man establishing modern day cities and technologically advanced societies. But despite this change or these changes, there are elements of continuity. Man is still interacting with the environment. Man is still understanding and learning about the environment. And of course, information and initiatives stemming from early man would have facilitated the growth of these different levels of civilization. It is now time for reflection on elements of change and continuity in your environment. Identify and discuss an area in your life, whether it be in the society, the community in which you live, that there has been significant change and continuity that you are pleased about. Think carefully. Even your very family life has changes and continuity. Has there been new births? Has there been any migration of family members? Think about it and explain why you appreciate the change and continuity that you have identified. Let us now look at change and continuity in Jamaica within the area of transportation during the early period. During the 1700s, many Jamaicans had to travel by foot, horses, mules, or buggy. The majority of the island was covered in vegetation and there were dirt tracks as well as poorly developed roads to connect communities. If we take a look at the different pictures here being depicted, we're seeing foot transportation, we are seeing transportation by horse, donkey, and of course, all of this would have meant that communication would have been affected depending on what time period you're in and which location you were in the island. So, the most modern transportation at that time would have been the image to the far right. By the mid 1800s, there were steam trains running in Jamaica. They ran in Kingston and Spanish Town. Can anyone guess the type of impact that this development would have on the areas that these trains ran in Kingston and Spanish Town? What sort of changes do you think would take place in these areas? Would there be more persons coming to this area? Would there be more businesses established? And if so, why? At the time of the tram cart, I mean, this was a great achievement, a big change in Jamaica. Can we take note of some of these changes that are being shown here? And what do you think are some of the reasons that impacted on the government to make the decision to run the tram carts where they ran at the time? What can the image in the environment tell you about the areas that the tram cart ran? What type of services do you think was offered? What type of jobs do you think sprang from the running of the tram carts? And in what way do you think our public transportation system is similar as it relates to the impact of the transport on the environment in which it runs, the service that is being offered? Are there any similarities? Think about it. It is now time for us to reflect carefully on what we have seen and heard in the presentation in order to effectively answer the questions below. With the change from foot transportation and horses, what are some of the impacts, in other words, effects, that the introduction of change would have on society? With the incoming of new modes of transportation, what are some of the impacts or effects that these changes would have on society at large in the country? Write down these changes in your notebooks as they come to mind and be prepared to share out. Feel free to go back to any previous slide in order to support your answer and gather ideas.